Welcome to Empowerment Library, where we break down powerful books that change the way you think and live. Last time, we explored The Art of Laziness, a bold take on doing less to achieve more. Today, we dive into Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, a story of pain, grit, and transformation. From an abusive childhood to Navy SEAL, Goggins shows us how mental toughness is built, not born. This isn't motivation, it's a wake-up call. We'll go chapter by chapter, breaking down his toughest lessons and practical challenges. If you're ready to stop making excuses and start pushing limits, this one's for you. Let's begin with Chapter 1. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's grow stronger together.
Chapter 1. I Should Have Been a Statistic. Chapter 1 opens with David Goggins' brutal childhood in Buffalo, New York. He describes growing up in an abusive home, where his father, a nightclub owner, violently controlled the family. Goggins, his brother, and mother lived in constant fear, working long hours at the club while hiding bruises behind fake smiles. School offered no escape. He faced relentless racism, learning difficulties, and emotional isolation. He was falling behind academically and socially, often considered dumb or invisible. This chapter paints a dark picture of a boy expected to fail, a product of trauma, pain, and neglect. But beneath the fear, Goggins began to develop a quiet rage and deep internal drive. He didn't know it then, but the suffering would become fuel. He introduces the concept that you are not a victim of your circumstances, unless you choose to be. This chapter sets the tone for the entire book. No matter where you come from, you can build a different outcome. It's raw, honest, and heavy, but it's the beginning of transformation. Goggins should have been a statistic, but he chose to fight back.
Chapter 2. Truth Hurts. In Chapter 2, Goggins fast-forwards to his early adulthood, where life had spiraled into a state of quiet failure. He was overweight, depressed, and working a dead-end job spraying for cockroaches at night. At 24 years old and 300 pounds, he was stuck in a cycle of junk food, excuses, and self-pity. One day, he saw a documentary on Navy SEALs and something inside him clicked. He realized he was wasting his life. But when he tried to enlist, every recruiter shut him down because of his weight. He had 3 months to lose over 100 pounds to even qualify. This chapter is about facing brutal self-honesty. Goggins calls this the accountability mirror, a practice of standing in front of the mirror and calling out your own lies. He wrote his failures on sticky notes and posted them around the mirror. You're fat. You're lazy. You're not trying. It wasn't self-hate, it was radical self-respect. Goggins says change only starts when you stop lying to yourself. Chapter 2 is a call to face the truth, no matter how painful, because truth is the foundation of real growth.
Chapter 3. The Impossible Task. Chapter 3 dives into Goggins' mission to lose over 100 pounds in just 3 months to qualify for Navy SEAL training. It was a nearly impossible task. He was 297 pounds and had to get down to 191. But instead of giving up, Goggins went to war with his mind and body. He cut out all junk food, started waking up at 4:30 a.m., doing cardio, biking, swimming, and lifting weights, all on his own. The physical pain was extreme, but the mental battle was even harder. He pushed past self-doubt, fatigue, and weakness by developing a relentless internal voice. This chapter introduces the callous mind, the idea that mental toughness is built through repeated exposure to discomfort. Goggins didn't rely on motivation, he created discipline through suffering. He also began keeping a cookie jar, a mental collection of past victories to remind himself he'd done hard things before. This chapter shows that success isn't about talent, it's about obsession, sacrifice, and doing the work, even when it feels impossible. Goggins made the weight cut just in time, but more importantly, he proved that limits are almost always self-imposed.
Chapter 4. Taking Souls. In Chapter 4, Goggins introduces one of his most powerful mental tools, the concept of taking souls. This idea was born during Navy SEAL Hell Week, one of the toughest military training programs on Earth. Goggins and his team were constantly cold, wet, sleep-deprived, and pushed to the edge. But instead of just surviving, Goggins decided to go beyond, to break the spirit of the instructors by outworking everyone. He smiled through the pain, ran harder, carried more weight, and refused to quit. That mindset of performing so well that you demoralize your doubters is what he calls taking souls. It's about flipping the script and turning adversity into domination. Even when he was exhausted, Goggins found strength in knowing he was mentally stronger than those trying to break him. He emphasizes that you don't need to be the best, you just need to outlast, outwork, and outcommit. This chapter teaches you to turn suffering into fuel and use your effort as a weapon. Taking souls is a mindset shift. Don't just endure the challenge. Own it and use it to flip power in your favor.
Chapter 5, Armored Mind. In Chapter 5, Goggins dives deeper into the concept of mental resilience by introducing the idea of the armored mind. After surviving Hell Week, not once, but 3 times due to injuries and setbacks, he realized that physical toughness alone isn't enough. What truly separates high performers is the ability to keep going after the body wants to quit. Goggins describes the mind as a muscle that must be trained and armored through repetition, hardship, and intentional suffering. This chapter emphasizes voluntary discomfort, doing things you don't want to do, every single day, to build grit. Goggins also talks about embracing fear instead of avoiding it, using it as a signal for growth. He repeatedly faced challenges that most people would run from, and used them as training to strengthen his mindset. Whether it was enduring brutal military training, dealing with racism, or overcoming physical injury, he chose to lean into the pain, not escape it. An armored mind, he says, isn't built by avoiding stress. It's built by facing it, surviving it, and getting stronger because of it. This chapter is about becoming mentally indestructible.
Chapter 6. It's not about a trophy. In Chapter 6, Goggins shifts focus from achievement to purpose. After becoming a Navy SEAL and completing some of the world's toughest challenges, he realized that external rewards, medals, trophies, praise were never the real goal. True fulfillment came from pushing himself purely to grow, not to impress others. This chapter explores how Goggins transitioned into endurance sports like ultramarathons and long-distance cycling, where he had no background or natural advantage. He entered his first ultra race unprepared, with zero pacing strategy, and ended up finishing with broken bones, internal bleeding, and severe dehydration, but he didn't quit. He kept moving forward out of pure mental will. The key lesson here is that growth doesn't come from winning. It comes from showing up, struggling, and refusing to break. Goggins emphasizes the importance of doing things for internal reasons, not for applause or recognition. When your motivation is internal, your discipline becomes unshakable. This chapter reminds us that the process is the reward, and if you're doing it for the trophy, you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Chapter 7, The Most Powerful Weapon. In Chapter 7, Goggins reveals what he believes to be the most powerful weapon we all have, the mind. After pushing through hell weeks, ultramarathons, and physical breakdowns, he realized that it wasn't his body that carried him, it was his ability to control his thoughts. This chapter is all about mastering the dialogue inside your head. Goggins explains how most people allow their thoughts to control them, especially under stress, but elite performers flip that script. They take command of their inner voice. He describes how he used visualization, self-talk, and the cookie jar method, remembering past victories, to keep going when everything in him wanted to stop. Mental mastery, he says, isn't about being fearless. It's about overriding fear, self-doubt, and weakness when they appear. He also talks about the 40% rule again. When you feel done, you're usually only 40% tapped into your true capacity. Chapter 7 is a call to stop being a prisoner of your own mind, and to start using it as your most powerful tool for domination.
Chapter 8. Talent Not Required. Chapter 8 crushes the myth that success is only for the talented. Goggins shares how he was never the smartest, fastest, or strongest, but he outworked everyone. He emphasizes that discipline, drive, and obsession beat raw talent every time. In this chapter, Goggins recounts his journey to Army Ranger School, where he finished as enlisted honor man, despite being doubted once again. He talks about how society glamorizes talent but ignores the grind, the lonely, painful, daily effort that true growth requires. Goggins believes anyone can achieve greatness if they're willing to put in uncomfortable, consistent work. He pushes back hard against the idea of natural-born winners and says that grit is a choice, not a gift. This chapter is a powerful reminder that you don't need permission, connections, or a perfect background to become elite. You just need relentless effort. He encourages readers to develop a mindset where excuses are eliminated and effort becomes non-negotiable. Goggins doesn't believe in luck. He believes in doing the work no one else is willing to do.
Chapter 9. Uncommon amongst uncommon. In Chapter 9, Goggins challenges us to go beyond being good, even beyond being great. He talks about striving to be uncommon amongst the uncommon. That means standing out not just in the average world, but even among the elite. Goggins reflects on his time in the military, where many around him were high-level performers. But instead of blending in, he pushed himself even harder, showing up earlier, working longer, and embracing pain when others backed off. He describes how most people stop once they're better than average, but real growth begins when you keep pushing past the top. Goggins warns that success can make people soft. Comfort kills ambition. His mindset? Never be satisfied. Always stay hungry. This chapter is about holding yourself to a higher standard, even when no one else is watching. It's a mindset of personal excellence, one that doesn't need approval, applause, or comparison. Being uncommon amongst the uncommon is rare, and it's not about ego, it's about self-mastery. Goggins makes it clear, the real battle is with yourself, and the only finish line is death.
Chapter 10. The Empowerment of Failure. Chapter 10 closes the book with one of its most powerful messages. Failure is fuel. Goggins reflects on the many times he's failed, from struggling in school, to injuries that forced him out of training, to losing races and falling short of goals. But instead of being discouraged, he learned to use failure as a teacher. This chapter reframes failure not as the opposite of success, but as a critical part of growth. Goggins believes that most people fear failure because they're too focused on how it looks from the outside. But those who grow embrace failure as feedback. He shares how keeping a journal of failures helped him track progress, refine strategy, and stay mentally sharp. He also reminds us that self-doubt never disappears, but with the right mindset, it can be silenced through action. The final message is clear. If you avoid failure, you avoid growth. The path to greatness is built on setbacks, pain, and relentless pursuit. Goggins leaves readers with one final challenge: to face themselves honestly, stay uncomfortable, and never stop doing the hard work.
Conclusion. David Goggins doesn't ask you to be perfect. He doesn't care about talent, privilege, or comfort. What he demands is simple: ownership, effort, and relentless mental toughness. Can't Hurt Me is more than a book. It's a challenge to take control of your life by doing the hard things daily. Whether it's waking up earlier, facing your fears, or breaking your own excuses, this book dares you to level up. If you've been watching this series, now is the time to take action. Start building your calloused mind, apply the 40% rule, and become uncommon amongst the uncommon. This wraps up our breakdown of Can't Hurt Me. If you found value in this, please like, share, and subscribe to the Empowerment Library. Your support helps keep this mission going. Comment below with your biggest lesson or your favorite Goggins quote. I'd love to hear how this book hit you. And stay tuned, because our next book is The Millionaire Fastlane by M.J. DeMarco, a game-changing roadmap for anyone ready to break free from the 9-to-5 and build real wealth fast. Thanks for being here. See you in the next episode.